Hello everybody, this is Moe Espinosa from the band Persefone. Today I'm gonna show you a walkthrough through all the keyboards that I recorded for the song The Whisper of Man. I was saying Spiritual Migration, no. For the song is The Whisper of Man, of the new recording of the album Truth Inside the Shades. So I think this is not something that bands usually do. So I think it can be interesting for you guys to see what's going on here. So as you can see now, this is the project folder that we have for the song. This is basically where we have recorded the song. So here in particular, I'm going to show you the keyboard folder, the clean vocals folder, and the ground vocals folder. Here you have the song that is finally mixed, so it sounds like this. Sounds pretty good in my opinion, a lot better than the older album. So now this is we have several folders in this particular folder. We have the orchestra folder, the Chronos 2 folder, and some extra sounds that I've been using. So for the orchestra sounds, just a heads up to let you know that these are not an actual orchestra. This is because of a budget and that real orchestras are extremely expensive to hire. We've decided to go with what is called sample libraries. This libraries is basically a software that has the sound of each note played in each instrument that you require, and then you can play it. And throughout the years, this has become extremely realistic in some cases. So basically here I have two sections of violins. That it means that is emulation of 15 keyboards on each section that will do probably different melodies. Here we have the violas, instrument, cellos, and double basses. So after that we have the Chronos 2. Chronos 2 is basically this keyboard I have over here. This is my my live choice. When we play live, I play with this keyboard. And as some of you already know, it sounds really good. And I always like to use these sounds too in the studio. So in this case, I have several sounds here from this keyboard. And then I have three more sounds that it's basically a piano. That in this particular sound, it doesn't make a lot of stuff, just a doubling for the guitar. Then I have a pulse. That is a synthesizer sound coming from the Serum synthesizer, and I have a suspended cymbal sound. I'm going to show you this one because it's a particular sound that is used a lot in production, in music production. This sound is basically when you have a cymbal, you can get a roll. You can do a roll that is increasing the sound. And it sounds like this. This helps a lot to get the song from one point to another, doing some kind of a transition, you know? And it's really useful. I'm using this twice in the song, I think. And I'll show you later which parts are those. So for starters, we're gonna see what's going on at the very beginning of the song here. So here basically are two things going on. I have this sound from the Chronos that is called the power and the glory. Look what it sounds. Do you know this synthwave sounds from the 80s? It sounds a little bit like that, you know. And then we wanted not. We don't like the idea. We don't like the idea of leaving that only that sound, because it's kind of thin. But we needed that synthy quality in the sound, so we added the orchestra behind. doing this. And all together, just like that. It's a funny part. One of the things I like the most in this particular part is the transition that there is from the hits in the beginning, from the part when the drums really start pushing, and it's this particular part that you can listen in the song. It's subtle, but it's there. I love that thing. So after this, we get to the part in which the song stops. And then it comes the pause that I talked you about before. The sound that is sounding there is particularly this one. Okay, I worked in this sound for a while. I programmed it myself in this synthesizer, and we didn't want to leave the guitar ringing just like that. We need something that make the part grow into the next part, so to speak, another transition. But sometimes a riser by itself doesn't work like that smoothly, and I like the idea of changing the pace of the pulse, as you can see here. Here it changes. It goes, gets speedy. So the effect when you listen to the song, again, it's subtle, but it's there. And it gets to the next part of the song. That is particularly this one. So here I've decided to go with a keyboard strings sound. In this case, this sound usually imitates the sound of an orchestra, or maybe back in the day they tried to do something like that, but obviously it was really difficult to get the actual sound of an orchestra. Even today is difficult. So they got to this kind of sound. That sounds kind of violin-ish, you know, but at some point it got to be a sound of itself. So yes, in some parts I like to use this because it's not as big, it's not as realistic, but it works really good with the song. An important part of the life of a keyboardist is to work for the song and try not to steal the spotlight. That is something that sometimes we do wrongly, a lot of times, I think. So I think this particular sound fits a lot better than an actual orchestra that will effectively steal that spotlight. So once we get to the next part, so this part changes a lot because the electric guitars disappear, some acoustic guitars kick in, and then we change from grunt vocals to clean vocals. So I decided to go with another string sound, but in this case taking from a keyboard called the Mellotron. it sounded a lot more realistic if you see. But this is a really old keyboard too. Mellotron was I think it was created in the 70s, something like that. Maybe I'm saying something stupid, but I think it was something like that. It just meaning that it's really old. But what they did is recording the sound of different instrument in a tape for each key. So when you play that key, the tape started, and that particular tape could last like 7-8 seconds, something like that, and they got a really good sound from that. Obviously, it sounds fake from an actual orchestra because it's you don't have the transitions between notes. There's a lot of stuff going on that is not there, but I think they got a really good job. For example, I think they used it in Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin for those flutes at the beginning. I think that's a mellotron. Not really sure if it's a mellotron in the studio recording, but I know that they used that they used the mellotron in the live performances. So the sound is really amazing. And then when it comes to go with my voices, I like to use this sound. Look how this sound with my voices. For a voice bringer of laments, for a sign that holds me out of here. I love it. So if you want to check my voice here, what I'm doing is the only part that I'm singing in this song. What I did, I used 4 tracks in this song. I used 2 of them to sing the same melodic line, and the third and fourth tracks I use them for harmony vocals. So if you listen to the first 2 voices, for a voice bringer of laments, for a sign that holds me out of here. Sometimes you can realize that there are 2 voices in there, but the idea is that once you pan them, meaning you put one on the right side of the stereo and the other one in the left, right on the left, not that way, you can get the idea of it's a really wide voice. But if you put it all together in the center, you will see that then it really looks like that there's only a voice. Sorry, I got to the end of the project. Sorry, this button doing that. So listen to that. For a voice bringer of now I find them, for a sign, and it looks like one. It's a really cool trick that musicians used with these voices. And then the second, the third and the fourth track doing a second voice. Would be nice to unsolo them and mute them. For a voice bringer of laments, for a sign that holds me out of here. Why not get to the end? So all together, for a voice bringer, sounds like this, and when you put these voices in hands of a good engineer, it ends up like this. It's amazing what they can do nowadays. So for the next part, I think we have this one. And here is one of the parts that in which sucks being a keyboardist, because sometimes you get the spotlight and sometimes you get buried in the mix, and this is one of those parts. I did this here with the orchestra. Okay, so in this case, you can barely listen this in the album. probably if you take him out from the mix, you will notice, but right now it's difficult to listen. So for the next part we have this. In this particular part you can actually listen a little bit of the louder violins. There you go. It's there too, making the work behind. So then we come to this part in which I would make this doubling with Carlos and the piano. That is basically a piano doing this. Okay. I don't know why back in the day we didn't did the same thing, but in the end it all works fine together. And then it comes this suspended symbol that you will listen now how it works with the actual song. All right, you remember? So this is how it works. You actually only can listen to this particular part, but it all grows into the next one. Okay, it makes a trick. That's what is important. So for the next part, I also use the mellotron. So again, it's one of those parts that the keyboard is kind of buried in the mix, but it's actually there. You know, when you use mellotron, it gets a lot of place in the mix, even though you are not listening to it. If we put this off the mix, it will void the mix. You will miss it for sure. But it's there to fill the place, not to be actually listened. And then we get to this part. This is probably one of the parts I love most of the whole album. I think the harmony is really beautiful. The change then in the middle part is really beautiful with the guitar kicking in and making that melody. I've always loved it to play that live, and I love listening to this with this particular sound. So here, back in the day, we were using this sound called meteor strings. That was from a keyboard I had that was Kurzweil PC2, and for some reason. We stopped using that. I think it was for some reviews we received back in the day saying that it was kind of a Disney vibe. That sound gave some kind of a Disney vibe to the music, and also gave this kind of black metal vibe. You know, that later I think we kind of lost through the years. But in this case, I was completely sure that I wanted to use an orchestra here. I had a lot of ideas on how to make this. So listen what is going on here. Here the basses stop doing pizzicatos and get to the sustained notes. Here is the change. I love this part. There's a lot of stuff going on, melodies that changes from an instrument to another. For example, the cellos keep doing these arpeggios back behind. The violas doing a trick melody to create harmony. I think the result is really good, and I like that it's like you can actually listen to the orchestra in this part. And then it's with the change when the acoustic guitars kick in. I love this part. I could stay here listening to it and bore you. But we're going to move on to the next part, okay? For the next part, we come back to the beginning. And here in the beginning I used the string sound, but in this case when I try to do that, but once the part starts, if the orchestra stops, it was too obvious. It loses a lot in the stereo spectrum, so I decided to do the same thing as the beginning, but with the orchestra. And I love this transition that comes now with the violins. Yeah. And then I put here the actual strings to give it that synthy quality. Then we get to the next part that we come back to the beginning again, to the main riff. Now again we do it with the orchestra and the power of and the glory sound. And for the next part we have this lead section with Carlos and me playing guitar and keyboard. And for this particular part I used this sound. Sounds kind of ugly when you play it alone, but the reality is that when you play with a guitar, it mixes really, really well. In this particular part, I'm doing when you do an harmony, you always do the higher register part and the lower, and I'm doing the lower. That's why the synth is less listened in this part, and I'm basically following Carlos. If you want to listen to it, you can just try to find the synthy quality and the sound in the mix. It's more obvious here. It's way more obvious here in this part. There's also the chance to to this. And bury everything behind the keyboard. No, that won't happen. But it would be nice. And then we move on to the final part. To one of those keyboards that are intended to fill the stereo spectrum, nothing else. So this is all about the keyboards, and I wanted to show you right now, if you have the time, I wanted to show you the voices that Mark recorded. I know this is, for me, this is one of the biggest improvements of the re-recording of the album, but I can't stop being giving credit to Carlos and what he did back in the day. I think it was like 2003 or something like that, we were looking for a singer and Carlos couldn't, we couldn't find it, and suddenly Carlos out of the blue said, I will do it, I will sing this album. And I can promise you that he, I think, never did that before. He tried I think he tried in one demo I did with him when we were kids, but that's the only time he did something similar, but nothing as serious as an album. And I can remember Carlos bleeding from his throat after the recording of the album. That was really tough to see, and it was crazy that after that he could do actually could do the thing in a show while he was playing guitar. That was pretty impressive. And now we have Mark on this recording that he's a total pro, he's a beast, and we love how he sings. And I wanted to take this chance to show you what he's doing. So sometimes people in that listen to this kind of voices, that's a pedal, that's an effect that people put in the voice. But I'm going to show you that in the case of Mark, I don't know other people, but in the case of Mark, that's totally untrue.
Now it's time to live your low life, rotten trace with a rotten face.
He's screaming his ass off to the mic in the vocal booth. So that's what he did. So for this recording, we did 2 tracks that are intended to be the main tracks and 2 extra tracks that are intended to be, I want to say harmony, but I think it's grand vocals behind, doublings and something like that. So as you can see, there are parts that are in one single voice, one single take, and some others that, like this one, that combines, it jumps from one to the next.
I see the horror in your eyes, malefic fears, evoked in pain. The unknown eyes, release a place, eternal peace will be your care.
When we do this, it's just because we want to create this overlap, feeling of the voices. Obviously, you can't do this in the live performance, but it's not intended to be like that. In the album, we wanted to do something like this. You can listen to voices like that are overlapping one with the other, or then you can listen to other parts.
Come to me to be my shrine, perfect faith, your life in you. Cry with me, be my judge, God, you are me, and I'm in you.
Pretty good. And then we have these extra tracks that are intended to add some texture to the voice.
You cry with me, be my judge, God, you are me, and I'm in you.
It's funny because sometimes you can actually see that he's singing differently. Like in this particular case, you can see the waveforms.
Walking in death, look repeat to your side.
He's all guttural here.
Live like a ghost, dream like a man.
And then he changes.
Feel in the night and the light that you can outside.
I think that's pretty impressive, in my opinion. So that's all for today. Thank you very much, guys, for seeing this video and take the time to see it. I want to take the chance to thank you all for supporting us in our Patreon page. It's helping us a lot to continue with the project in this difficult moment with the COVID-19, and we really appreciate that you make the effort helping us with our musical project. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. See you soon.
Inside